Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Chris with Kristen's Crafts, and today I'm bringing you another process video for the Mad About mini paper pads, and I'm also using my How to Kill a Kit with Style to create this page. So for this page, I hopped onto Pinterest and I looked for a quilt pattern, and I was able to find one that was using 2 by 4 inch rectangles that were put into a 4 by 4 block. And so I'm going and cutting down these papers that were in the My Mind's Eye paper pad, and I'm just going and cutting all of them to that 2 by 4 inch size so that I have enough to create my background. Now I'm only going to go 2 rows of this going up, and then the other half is going to be this wood grain background with the lace on there. I thought it would be perfect for this photo. This is a picture of my grandmother. I'm going to say it's probably in the 1950s. I was born in 1964, and I never remember seeing my grandmother without wearing a wig. She was, for my whole life, I just always remember having a wig on. I don't know why she wore them. If she found it to be easier, don't know. But this is the first photo I've seen with her natural hair. And I was, it was amazing to find it. One of my cousins had posted it on Facebook, and I quickly snatched it up and wanted to make sure I saved it for my records. So as I'm going and building my background, I realized I needed 2 more patterns. In order to do this style, I really needed 6 different patterns to go. You could probably do it with less, but for what I wanted to do, it made more sense. So I could have 6 patterns on the bottom and then repeat it on the top in a different order. So I grabbed 2 more pieces of paper from that My Mind's Eye paper pad and cutting a few more down, and just so that I have enough of the different designs to go to create those 2 rows of blocks. And once I have these all down, I'm going to go ahead and lay out the pattern. So the pattern's going to be 2 of the blocks that are going to go horizontal, and then 2 vertical, 2 horizontal, and then when you go up to the next row, you reverse it. And I'm just making sure to stagger the patterns so that no patterns are next to each other. And I'm also trying to split up the color so that you don't have any dark pieces next to dark pieces, and it kind of balances itself out. Once I have it all laid out the way I want it, I'm going and taking Distress ink in Evergreen Bow, and I'm just going to go ahead and ink all the edges up so that it, again, makes all the patterns cohesive, allows them to kind of stand up against the background. Now this is a great way to use the mini pads. I found that if you go on to Pinterest and you search for quilt patterns, it's a great way to show you how to cut up the different papers to use on your backgrounds for layouts. And kind of think of it like with using these paper pads, it's kind of like when if you're a quilter and you go and you buy the, what do they call the squares that are, you can buy the whole stack of the blocks or whatever. I forget what they call them now, but they all come in coordinating colors. Your paper pad's doing the same thing. Oh, fat quarters, that's it. So it's the same premise for fat quarters as with your paper pad. You have a stack of patterns of either material or paper that all coordinate together. So now all you have to do is cut them into the shapes to piece them together to have your creation. So you could do this with, if you wanted, with scraps. Again, you would just have to try and coordinate it, whereas the 6x6 paper pad kind of does it for you. So I just trimmed off a little bit of the excess because, no piece of paper is ever perfect when it comes to size. And now I am going to start working on my photo. And I went ahead and grabbed a doily from my stash that I pulled out in my How to Kill a Kit kit, and I'm also pulling in these 49th and Market papers, and I'm going to try and find anything that is like book paper or beige in color. I'm not going to be pulling in the pink colors at this time. The other thing I decided as I was going through and kind of looking at the what I could use for layering, I decided I wanted one more layer on the back of this picture. So I was able to find a piece of this dark gray that was in the same 6x6 pad that I did all of my background with. So here I'm taking these different elements that were in this 49th and Market, and I'm just kind of pulling things out that I think will work for the layering. And then I came across this botanical one that kind of fit the background, and I decided I really like that one. I'm going to have that be the background of my photo. I'm also grabbing this book paper that was probably like another book for like plants and things like that, and or species, and I'm going to go ahead and use that for going across. Because I'm building across with that one layer, I was able to go ahead and just use the top 2 rows of that botanical piece, and then save the bottom 2 pieces for a later layout. And so now I've gone ahead and inked that up. And then I have this small envelope that was also in that 49th and Market pack. And that's where I'm going to do my journaling at. So in order to bring in a little softness to this layout, I am going to take the doily and put it behind the envelope and also on the other side. And it also breaks up the photo cluster from that busy background and kind of pulls in that lace look that you see on the right-hand side. Wasn't sure exactly how I wanted the patterns to go, so you see I kind of rotated the paper a little bit and was trying to determine where I wanted the photo to go, and I ended up deciding to stick with it on the upper 2/3 of the layout. Now that I have that glued down, I am going to go, I believe I'm looking for my thickers, and I'm trying to find something that I can write out my grandmother's name. I had picked out a different font earlier, but I thought it was too big. So I went in and grabbed these gold ones. They're on a blue foam. Can't even speak today. And I'm just going to spell out her name, Catherine Burkhart, and have that down there. And my journaling, when I actually go to do it, is just going to be talking about the fact that I had never seen her natural hair the whole time I was growing up. And here I am now in my late 50s, and this is the first time I actually saw a photo of her and her natural hair. That was kind of cool. So we'll have that documented for her. So now that I have her name, I'm grabbing this Bow Bunny sticker, and I'm going to move some of these around quite a bit. I grabbed the one that has the butterfly on it, and I have it currently on the envelope, but I'll end up moving that over. I grabbed that little tab and put that above the picture, and then I grabbed another like a label and put that on there. So then I grabbed these Le Petite from Paper Studio, and I really like the vintage cameras, so I'm going to put that on there. And here's where you can see like my little butterfly that I put on there. It ends up losing the backing that came away from the sticker part, so I'm going to end up having to put that down with some adhesive, wet adhesive, in a little while. So I'm going and trying to rearrange things, and like I'm moving now the butterfly to the other side, and to balance it off, I grabbed the hot air balloon. I have the 2 vintage cameras. Now the one vintage camera up top here that I'm by, I knew I had to have it on the right-hand side because of the way the camera was facing. So that was kind of dictating where things were going. Now I'm going into the Papery collection, which this one is Maggie Holmes, and I'm just grabbing some of the labels and things that are in that like blue color. And then I also find one of the washies that looks like a vintage label, and I'm going to put that in. And then I wanted a little bit more behind that butterfly and that hot air balloon, so I found another beige tag that I put and layered under there. Here's where I'm taking the backing off of that washi sticker that looks like a label, and I'm putting that behind the camera and the other label. And now the last thing I'm going to do is there was a strip that looked like postage stamps, and I just cut the blue one off. And I'm going to, once I get the backing off, I'm going to put that where the butterfly was up on the envelope. And then I will add that butterfly in a little bit with some wet adhesive. So here's where I'm adding just my journaling on the card. I don't have a year. I will check with my mom and dad, but I know it was probably 50s or 60s. If it's in the 60s, it had to be before I was born. And I was, like I said, I was born in 1964. And all the photos of me with my grandmother, she would be wearing a wig. So I'm really thinking this is probably in the 50s. And she looks quite a bit younger as well. And now that I have my journaling done, I'm used to using my wet adhesive to add that butterfly. And now I'm going to go into my Nicole Jones cut aparts, and I'm just going to grab some of these teal butterflies that I have a bag of fussy cut out, and I'm going to sprinkle those on. And that is going to be it for my layout. Make sure that you check out everybody in the description box below who is playing along this month with their mini pads. Last month was fantastic with all the inspiration and ideas to use them. Here's some close-ups, and we'll see you again on my channel for another process video.